Hi Flosstube! Welcome to this video. My name is Anna and I'm here to talk about cross stitch. Today is Monday, December 2nd, and I'm recording this a bit later than planned. We were traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday and we were supposed to be home at a reasonable time on Saturday, but our flight was delayed. So we got back to the house around midnight on Saturday, and by the time we said hello to the dogs and got ready for bed and everything, it was after 1, which is pretty late for me anyway, but after a day of travel at the end of a holiday, I was too tired. So Sunday morning, when I was planning to record this, I was sleeping in with one of my dogs. And he actually follows me pretty closely when I've been gone for a few days, so he is right behind me, and I thought I would introduce you. His name is Theodore. Bud. You see him? So this is Theodore. Buddy. He is an 11-year-old Pomeranian. I've had him for 9 years, so he's my little bud. We also have a 3-year-old mutt that we rescued. We got her when she was 6 weeks old, and she is about 60 pounds, and she is a huge handful, so she does not sleep in the bed with us. Theodore does, and he really appreciated sleeping in yesterday. So anyway, here we are on Monday morning. After I'm done recording this, I'm going to change for work and head out, so I won't be able to edit or upload until later today, but here I am. I just wanted to give an update. So let's get started. Generally, I work on projects for 3 or 4 days at a time, and then I switch to something new. So some of these I worked on more than once. So I'll just go in order of my oldest WIP first and go from there. So I was working on Fright Night. This is a full coverage project from Artecy. And I'll show you what it looked like before, and here is what it looks like now. So I finished this diagonal, and then I started the next diagonal up here. I took this with me on our Thanksgiving trip, so once I finished this diagonal, I didn't have any other projects, so I just went ahead and started working on the next part here. This is on 18 count Ada, and yeah, I'm still enjoying it. The house is still coming along. In my head, I've been calling this the Riddle House from Harry Potter, and I really like it. I generally have been doing a diagonal and then I switched to my other full coverage project, but I think I'm just going to keep going on this one since I've started this diagonal. And I also I started this project cross country, so there's some, random stitches through here, so I kind of smooth that out up here, and I'll just keep working. So I'm really happy with my progress on this. I finished this diagonal column pretty early on in the trip. So yeah, that's what it's looking like now. I love it. Okay. Then my next oldest WIP that I actually worked on this month is this Dimensions kit called Winter Cardinals. We'll show you a picture of what it looked like last time. Let's see. And then here is what it looks like now. So the colors are looking a little washed out. The greens are a bit brighter than it's showing here. But you can see I'm just working up here in these branches, and I'm almost to the top and the edge of this side. So this Lady Cardinal is right in the middle of the project. And I'm just working on these branches, and I will keep going. It's a little hard to handle here. I'll keep going over here on this side, and I'll work all the way down, and then I'll just work underneath this cardinal over. And then the last thing I work on will probably be the male cardinal that's on this other half. So I am enjoying this. It's on 16 count Ada that came with the kit. I think it's in Dove Gray. And yeah, just chugging along on this. The only change that I've made for this one, I did some fractional stitches on the bird to smooth out the back stitching, And then the snow calls for 5 strands of the white that comes in the kit. And I'm doing 4 strands of white and added 1 strand of blending filament. So I don't think you'll be able to see the blending filament on this, maybe, but it adds a little bit of sparkle. And we recently got a lot of snow here in Colorado, and when the sun came out, it really did sparkle. So I think that's a good choice. I'm still happy with that decision. The Kreinik is not that difficult to work with if I just do shorter lengths of it and keep an eye on it. Sometimes the thread pulls through and the blending filament is sticking up a little bit on the front, so I just have to go to the back and just pull it through and just keep an eye on it and babysit it, and it works out just fine. So that's my progress on this. I'm happy with it. I like working on it, and now it is very seasonal, so I'm going to keep working on this in December. Okay, let's see. Next, I worked on Horn of Plenty, which is from Just Cross Stitch magazine. It's this cover project. And I'll show you a picture of what it looked like last time. And here it is now. I'm hoping you can see it. I figured out where my camera is this time, so I'm trying to hold it up to the camera instead of the other corner. I'm sorry about that if you saw that in my last video. So I worked on, last time I think I was still working on the pumpkin, and I intended to backstitch the pumpkin, but looking at the picture I realized that it would be easier to backstitch the items in the foreground first and then work backwards. So I went down to the grapes and I started backstitching them, and they look awesome. You can see that the big bunch of grapes is not backstitched, but just probably 5 or 6 of the grapes at the end are, and it makes such a huge difference. I love it. I love this piece coming together. It's great. This is on 32 count Belfast linen in vintage country mocha. And another reason that I wanted to come down and work on the grapes, is that I'm still working on what to do about the border. I like the border. I think it's really pretty and detailed with all these leaves and things, but it's really, really close to the center picture. Like, so close that some of these leaves and swirlies are sharing spots or touching the shading and the grapes. You can kind of see in there that they're actually touching, which is not quite enough white space for me. So I left enough room. I got a big enough piece of fabric for quite a bit of space. And what I did is I decided to bump out the border a bit. And in order to do that, I'm not sophisticated at all when it comes to changing these patterns. I seriously made multiple copies of the pattern, and I used scissors and tape, and I actually like cut it out and bumped out the corner. And then, because if you move this whole thing out, then all of this stuff is over. So what I did is I picked one of these leaves and I made a copy of it, and I inserted it close to this corner here so that it's still the same length, or it's longer so that it ends in the same spot. So it took a lot of little itty bitty squares and cutting and tape in order to do that, but I do have a plan. So hopefully when I pick this up again, I will start on that border. It's got tons of backstitch and it's repetitive, so if I wait to the very end, I'm going to regret it. So anyway, this is where I'm at now. And I love working on it. I love working on all my projects, but putting the back stitches into the grapes really made a huge difference, and it makes me excited to pick this back up. I spent a lot of time on it in November, so I probably won't work on it again for a little while. But that's where I am, and I'll be excited to work on it when I do pick it up. Then my next project is from this same magazine. It's the Halloween banner sampler. This, and again, I made some alterations. I'm not doing this side of it, and again, I really just made multiple copies of the pattern, used scissors and tape to figure out how to move this ghost over and how to do the border. So that is my unsophisticated way of altering these patterns so far. So I didn't work on this a whole lot, but I'll show you a picture of what it looked like last time. And let's see. I still haven't trimmed this fabric. It's big enough for 2 projects, and I have another project picked out for it, but I haven't cut it yet. I am working on learning how to sew, and I'd like to be able to zigzag the edge. The sewing machine that I have now doesn't have that function, so I have my eye on a pretty inexpensive machine, but I'm going to wait until after Christmas to see if, you know, maybe Santa will bring it. Anyway, so I have tons of fabric on this thing, and this is where I am now. So it's not a huge amount of progress. I did more of the spider web, and I started on the pumpkin. One thing that was somewhat accidental is that I'm using pearl cotton for the black. So it's 1 strand of a very thick thread, and I like that a lot, but it's also in the pumpkin here, and the rest of the pumpkin is in DMC, just the normal floss. So I might rip out the pearl cotton that's in the stem and get DMC 310 for that, but I am still going to use the pearl cotton for the whole border because I like how, I don't know, how thick it is and how heavy it is. I think it's just appropriate for this project. So there it is. This is on 32 count. Picture this plus in jewel, and it's looking very pink right now. It's a pretty bright purple. I don't know. That's better. So, anyway, I really like working on this. It is tiny. I have not gotten a ruler out to see how big it is, but it's not 32 count anymore. I had heard people say that these dyed fabrics will often shrink, and that definitely happened with this one because I have a lot of projects on 32 count now, and these holes are pretty tiny to look for, so I'll have to get my ruler out and see what actual count this is. Anyway, I don't know when I'll get this back out because it's not Halloween. We're fully into Christmas now that Thanksgiving is over, but I will get it out before next Halloween for sure. So here's that one. Okay, so the only other project that I worked on in November was my new start, and this is Professor Fizzby's Wondrous Strange Collection of Wee Beasties, Part 5, the Common Green Garner. So it's this dragonfly. This project is no joke. I knew what I was getting into because I could see the pattern and I saw the floss list. But once I got going on it, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a difficult project, I'd say. You know, I'm a new stitcher. I've been stitching for about 1.5 years now, and I want to try new things. I want to keep trying new things. And I love this project. It's just, it's a lot. So if you're thinking about working on it and you're newer like me, or you have a more simple style in your projects, maybe think twice before starting this one. I'll show you how far I got. So this is how far I got on this. And you can see it's very sparkly. This thing is just full of blends and blending filament in the blends and lots and lots of quarter stitches. I wish I could show you just how close it is. So like you can see running down the middle of the dragonfly here, you see those brown X's. Those are not cross stitches. Those are quarter stitches, 4 quarter stitches that all meet in the same spot. And that's what this whole thing is just quarter stitches. I mean, there's a few full crosses in there, but it's mostly quarter stitches. There are 8 blends with blending filament. I don't even know how many other colors are in this little part that I've already done. There are a lot of happy little accidents, but they're quarter stitches, so that's totally fine. No one's gonna know that 1 quarter stitch is the wrong blend. So, called happy little accidents. They're just gonna stay in there now. Anyway, so this top part I was stitching along, and that's all the stitching that it calls for, and I was kind of concerned that there was just so much white space there, but as soon as I put the back stitching in, it just filled in and it looks beautiful. I hope you can see just how pretty it is, because it's sparkly and the colors just kind of, I don't know, they just kind of blend into each other. So I'm looking forward to working on this some more. The rest of this is ready to backstitch up to here, so that's probably what I'll do next. And then I'm going to work on the body some more, and then I'll start on the wing. I think one of the wings starts over here, and other than the outline, it is entirely blending filament. So we'll see how that goes, but I love it. It's so good. The backstitching on the bottom part, it just turned out so good. And I'm excited to show you after I do all of it, just how neat it is. So this is on 32 count Belfast, I think, in flax, in the color flax. So that's how far I am on that. Just gonna keep going. I probably will work on this in December, just because it is so different and it's enjoyable to work on. I like it a lot, so I'll keep working on that one. What else? Other plans for December. I'm gonna finally pull out Spirit of Christmas by Lavender and Lace. I started this in July of this year, and it was my first monthly start. So after I started this one, I began this routine of starting a new project every month, and Spirit of Christmas was the first one where I started doing that, and I haven't worked on it much since. So it looks the same as last time you saw it, but I'll show it here since I plan on working on it in December. So here's a picture that came with it. And this is where I'm at. So this will be my starting point moving forward. And I plan to, I'll probably focus on this because it is, Christmas month. And I love it. It's got blends, but it's just so effective. They make everything so gradual. The colors are beautiful. All the reds are really rich in this project. So same old story. I really enjoy working on this. This is 32 count. I think it's even weave. I don't know. I don't totally know the difference between even weave and linen. If this is even weave, there are some, I think they're called slubs. There are some inconsistencies, so maybe it is linen. I don't know. So there it is. So I'll be working on this in December, and I will have a new start in December. Pretty excited about it. This is one where I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get all of the materials together, and I'm still working on the colors a little bit, but I have chosen the pattern and the fabric for it. So I am going to be doing a Blackwork project by Peppermint Purple, which is a shop on Etsy, and I'm going to do it as a Christmas project. So I will try to insert a picture of her preview. I can't show you the pattern because it's just the Blackwork on it on a grid. But I have decided to change the colors. It's designed to just be one color, but I'm going to change it to Christmas colors. And I cut a scrap piece of fabric off of the fabric I chose, which is this Ada in forest green. It's deeper than that. I've got a window over here and I've got a lamp over here, and it's just, it's close enough. So it's this color, and then on the actual, for the actual blackwork, I'm choosing 4 colors. I'm doing silver, gold, red, and green. So I'll show you, I have a little practice piece on this little strip here. I'll give you just a little preview on what I'm working on. So there is a little sneak peek, I guess. So I started using some of the threads from Spirit of Christmas because those colors are so rich and they go together so well. So these 2 reds are in Spirit of Christmas, and I'm going to go with this brighter red. So that's my red picked out. One thing about the pattern is it's not a Christmas pattern. So the flowers in there, I don't know if you'll see, the petals over here are how it's charted. They have kind of like a rounded petals. And I made them pointy to be more like poinsettias. And I think I'm going to go with that. So this one is in the color and the shape that I want, but changing the petals changed like the lattice work behind. So I'm gonna have to change that a little bit. But this is the only section in the project that I'm altering. The rest of them I'm just gonna do in specific colors, but the actual patterns I'm gonna leave. So I'm not happy with this green, but it's a good start. I'm gonna look at my other projects and see if I can find another one that I like a little better. And then I'm happy with the silver, but I don't think I'm going to use it to outline these sections because it's so prominent that you can't really see the flowers. So I'll probably do a green as the outline and use this silver in other parts of the pattern. I also have a gold that's the same thickness as this silver. So that's my plan, and I'm getting so close to having it kitted up. And when I was working on this practice piece, I didn't want to stop. It was so quick doing this black work, and it's a pretty big project, but I'm looking forward to starting it. And one of the reasons I hesitated to find all of the supplies for this is that I was looking for an 18 count Ada in a color like this, and then I was looking for a 16 count Ada in a color like this. I just couldn't find anything, so I finally ordered this 14 count Ada from 123 Stitch, and I had purchased several threads to try out on a higher count, so I wasn't sure if these were going to work or not, but I think it's going to work. Like I said, I'm gonna keep practicing on this piece with some other colors. I'm gonna get the gold out and make sure that works, and then I'll start on my big project. So yeah, that's my plans for December. Looking forward to it. My husband and I trade which family we're at for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we were with my husband's family for Thanksgiving, and we'll be with my family for Christmas. So, per usual, I'm not planning on taking any cross stitch home with me. I've got a niece and a nephew. They're 7 and 3, 3 and 7 respectively. My niece is 3. So there's not a lot of downtime, and if there is, it's not for crafting. It's for other things. So we'll see how much I get done over that break, but up until then I will be stitching, and I am planning on coming back before the end of December, before the new year. I'll be back, and I'll also talk about my new start for January. I've mentioned before that I want to start something bigger because January is my birthday month. It's also a new year. I had a project in mind for that, but I have found others since then. I have not been on the Stash Unload sites because I've been going to thrift stores and estate sales, and I find good stuff there. So the project I was planning to start in January has gotten replaced a couple of times. So I'll work on kitting up my January start, and I will definitely update you on my next update before January gets here. So thank you for joining me. I'm gonna stop now and go to work. So hopefully this gets uploaded later today, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you for all your support. I have not answered any of my comments from the last video. I've read them all and I will work on answering them. Just, you know, things come up and I just, if it's not in front of me, I kind of forget about them. So maybe today I'll get on and respond to some of those comments. So thank you for your support and for watching me, and I'll see you next time. Happy stitching. Bye.